Hey guys, what's going on? It's Joseph here back for another LEGO Star Wars video here today. Today I'm just going to talk about some more idea stuff and just stuff that's like fun to speculate and talk about, I guess. And other than that, I'm just going to be talking about the Bad Batch. And let's get right into this video, guys. Before I get into today's video though, guys, I do want to give a reminder that I'm doing a free site giveaway at 1,000 subs. So please make sure to like and subscribe. We're almost there. I'm giving away either a 501st Battle Pack or an AAT. So the first thing I want to talk about, I guess, is just the Bad Batch episode itself. It was titled Aftermath, and it was a good hour and 15 minutes. It was pretty long. But it was decent, I guess. It was good. It wasn't spectacular or super exciting, but it is the first episode of the show. And I feel like it definitely set the show and, in for the right pace, the right way, and definitely set it up for good things in the future. But it wasn't super exciting, right? I mean, it's only the first episode. They really can't get too much involved or too much in depth with what they're going to do. But still, I thought it was a good episode. Let me know down in the comments below what did you guys think of the episode itself. But today I'm going to be talking about some of the episode 1 Aftermath minifigure ideas. There were a lot of different characters that we saw in today's episode. And I feel like there's a good, I guess, room for potential, I guess you could say, for some decent minifigures we could see in the future from, this episode and so forth. Maybe not necessarily in sets, but just some minifigure ideas that we could see in a CMF or just something to that sort of degree. So let's get right into the minifigures, guys. As many of you may know, we saw all 5 members of the Bad Batch in this first episode, and we're going to see them a lot throughout the rest of the show. And as all of you probably also know, we're getting all 5 of these minifigures in the summer in 2021 in LEGO Star Wars form. So these guys are confirmed. These aren't rumors, leaks, or speculation. This is a confirmed LEGO Star Wars group of minifigures, I guess you could say. And obviously, the Bad Batch or good guys in this Bad Batch shuttle set include Echo, Wrecker, Tech, and Hunter, and we get a Imperial version of Crosshair, so that's interesting. We don't get the normal Crosshair, unfortunately, but still we do get all 5 members of the Bad Batch, so that is good news, I'd say. Moving on to some minifigure ideas, we do see this caretaker droid on Camino. I imagine that, and I actually think that this is the same caretaker droid we see in Season 6 of the Clone Wars that assists Fives. He obviously assists Echoes in the show, which is kind of a nice little nod, I guess, to that Clone Wars and just Fives, I guess, but we could see him. I think his name is like AZI dash, a various group of numbers. I don't know his name too well, but still, pretty interesting droid. Nothing too super special about him, though, and I don't think we're going to see him in a set. Maybe he'd be in a Camino set or a CMF, but still, just a neat little minifigure idea, I guess you could say. Moving on, we also see Emperor Palpatine in this first episode, albeit in this hologram form, as well as Jedi Master Deva B'Elanna. And I think Deva B'Elanna could actually be a pretty solid minifigure for a CMF. I don't think we're going to see her in a set. She obviously dies in this episode, so we're not going to see her again. But still, she's an important character in the prequels, and we see her a little bit in the Clone Wars and obviously in this first episode. And she's a cool Jedi. We obviously know a lot about her. We hear about her more because of Kanan Jarrus and his whole existence. And still, she's a cool Jedi. And again, I think she's really a great candidate for a Jedi CMF or a prequel CMF. A pretty neat character, not a major or huge character, but still, in my opinion, perfect kind of minor side character for a CMF or something like that. Also, like I said, we get Emperor Palpatine in this first episode. We've gotten plenty of minifigures, of him in the past, but maybe we get a translucent hologram version. Wouldn't that be kind of neat? Next up, we see Jedi Padawan Caleb Doom, aka young Kanan Jarrus in this episode. I imagine this is just a nice little cameo for him and that kind of thing. I don't think we're going to see him again in the show, but still a neat little minifigure that could be made from his little appearance in here. And I think he'd also make for a great CMF minifigure. Obviously, Caleb Doom is, not necessarily Kanan Jarrus yet, but still an important and kind of a unique Jedi. We see a lot of him in the comics, which is kind of funny. The comics were retconned in this first episode, by the way. I don't know if any of you guys knew that, but I certainly noticed it. It was kind of interesting. Either way, we do see him in this, short little glimpse, and I think he'd be a decent minifigure for a CMF, at least a pretty interesting one for sure, just because he is Kanan Jarrus technically, and I think it would be just a cool, nice, young Jedi Padawan minifigure to have, which you really don't have too many of. Now, one character, in my opinion, that has a pretty high likelihood of being made in the future, maybe not this year, but definitely in 2022, is going to be Omega. Not only is she going to be one of the main characters of Season 1, she's probably going to be one of the main characters of the show, at least for a little bit. And good thing is, she hasn't rubbed off on me the wrong way, and I feel like a lot of other Star Wars fans, can say that. With Jar Jar and other new characters, they can rub off the wrong way, and that's not good. Fortunately for Omega, I think that she's fine. I don't think she's that annoying or anything, so that's good. And not to mention, I think she would be a pretty unique and cool minifigure. I imagine we're going to get at least 2 to 4 Bad Batch sets next year, so I think that she is definitely very likely going to be coming very soon. After that, we also see this clone captain here in this episode. Who he is, I'm not exactly sure. I thought, or at least there's speculation that he might be one of the clone commanders or officers, I guess you could say, that we see in the comics, like Commander Gray or Styles or whatever his name is, that execute Order 66 on Master Deva B'Elanna and Caleb Doom. But that's not necessarily confirmed, and I really do like his green markings and his green pauldron. He's pretty much unnamed. I doubt we're really going to see this guy again, but still, he would be, in my opinion, a cool minifigure for something like a CMF. I doubt we get him in a set unless it's like an Order 66 thing or whatever, but still, a cool clone commander, and everyone loves clones, so for CMF, this guy would be great in my opinion. Now, another character that we see in this first episode of the Bad Batch is going to be Saw Guerrera. Now, we don't have a young Saw Guerrera minifigure. I think that it's about time we get one. I mean, he's a big player in the Clone Wars, as well as he's probably going to be, at least maybe not necessarily a huge character in this show, but I imagine we'll see him a couple of times. Not to mention he's important in Rogue One and just the Galactic Civil War. So, just from the late Clone Wars, to the early Galactic Civil War, he's pretty important, and he's a cool character, and the only minifigure we have of him is his old version, which is a lot different than himself when he was younger, so I imagine that a new minifigure of Saw Gerrera is well due. I think it would make for a pretty cool minifigure. Not to mention, I don't have them pictured, but you could additionally include some of those Onderon rebels who we might see again, who knows, but still, cool minifigures regardless. Moving on, we also see a lot of Kaminoans in this episode, and it's funny that LEGO has never made a single Kaminoan ever. That still blows my mind. They're one of the big prequel aliens, right? When it comes to the original trilogy, we've seen like most of their aliens converted to LEGO form, like Tusken Raiders or Jawas or Rhodians, right? All sorts of aliens, but we never get like prequel or sequel aliens really. And the fact that we never got Kaminoans, who are like maybe the most important alien race in the prequels, is kind of crazy. I mean, seriously, I know it's kind of hard for them to make them. I mean, they could try and do like LEGO Friends torso stuff. I don't really know how they can make them, but still, I think it's about time we get some sort of Kaminoans or just something. And here's Nala Se pictured here, who's pretty important. We see her in the Clone Wars a little bit, and she's in this first episode of the Bad Batch. I don't imagine this is going to be the last time we see her. So if they did want to make a Kaminoan, Nala Se is certainly a candidate for being made into a minifigure. Continuing the trend of Kaminoans, we can also see Taun We, which is kind of funny, is I think the first time we saw Taun We obviously was in Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, right? And I don't think we actually saw her ever in the Clone Wars. I don't think she even made an appearance in the Clone Wars, and now all of a sudden she's back in the Bad Batch, which is kind of a neat little cameo thing there, kind of like how in, I don't know if anyone knows this, but making reference to a clone trooper named Ridge that we saw in the original Clone Wars movie. He returned for like the last episode of Season 7 of the Clone Wars, I believe, so kind of funny how that stuff works out, but still, regardless if this is a cameo or not, I don't imagine we will see her for the last time. I think we might see Camino a couple more times. Still, she's an important character in the prequels, and we still don't have a LEGO Kaminoan, so why not make Taun We, right? Moving on, we also see a lot of shock troopers in this first episode, and everyone loves shock troopers. I mean, even if they're not Bad Batch related, I think shock troopers are just well due as well. They're really cool, they're really sick. The last time we got one of these guys was in 2014, and we don't get them often. It's not like we had several years where we got them like in every year, every set. We didn't get them that much, and like I said, 2014, I believe, was the last time we got these guys. They're really cool, they're really sick. They're probably going to be pretty prominent in this show, at least early on. And, I mean, everyone wants them. Not to mention, we also see Tarkin, who is also looks to be a pretty, important character for this early part of the show. So I think it's also possible we get him. We got him in a Star Wars Rebel set. So if he's going to be in a Star Wars Rebel set, I really wouldn't be surprised if he's in a Bad Batch set or CMF or something like that in the future. Not to mention, to the left of him, we also have this clone shock trooper officer guy. This guy is unnamed, but still pretty cool. Would make for a cool CMF clone minifigure. Continuing the trend of clone troopers, you also see these Camino security troopers. These guys we don't see too much throughout the Clone Wars and Bad Batch. Obviously, they're in this first episode. I don't think this is going to be the last time we see them. I think we'll see them at least a couple times in the next few episodes or so. But we do see them in Season 6 of the Clone Wars, I believe, and they're just cool. I mean, they're kind of more novelty and just kind of interesting because of their armor and design and that kind of thing. Just because people like clone troopers. But still, if LEGO did want to do a CMF with these guys in it, I'd be down for it, honestly. I can't lie. Moving back to the trend of Kaminoans, we could also get Lama Su in minifigure form, and in my opinion, if they're going to make any Kaminoan in minifigure form, it has to be Lama Su. He's probably the most important Kaminoan out of all of them, and he's a pretty cool minifigure. I think, with his like little mohawk he has going on and just kind of suit and all that stuff, it'd be pretty cool to see him in LEGO Star Wars form. And again, LEGO has never made a Kaminoan. That's not just like a sin to the Clone Wars and the Bad Batch, but also just to the prequels, because they're relatively important, obviously, and they're just one of the more important alien species of the prequels, and they just have never been made. I know there's probably some difficulty, but I think LEGO could definitely do it right. They do a great job with every other minifigure they make, and, why not make Lama Su? Why not, LEGO? And finally, the last potential minifigure that I could see coming out of the Bad Batch is going to be the Phase 2 Standard Clone Trooper. This, again, is also kind of like crazy that LEGO doesn't make too many of these guys. They're really popular. They're in everything. I mean, they're really important. They're probably going to be very important to the Bad Batch. I mean, I can't even count how many Phase 2 regular clone troopers we already saw in the first episode, probably hundreds. So they're really important in this show. They're really important in general in the prequels and the Clone Wars, and we've only gotten like one since like 2014, I believe, in that like Microfighter Turbo Tank. I did purchase that set, by the way, but that's beyond the point. That's the only time we've gotten one, and it's crazy that LEGO won't make more of these guys. They would sell like hotcakes, and I think they're pretty cool. They're pretty neat. They're not necessarily super interesting, but still for army building, they have great purposes. And again, we've never really gotten these guys, at least the newer generation of these guys, which is crazy to me. But still, LEGO out to make Phase 2 clone troopers, not just for the Bad Batch, but just for Star Wars fans and just LEGO Star Wars in general. At least that's what I think. Anyways, guys, that's pretty much going to do it for today's video. Please make sure that you guys like and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.